Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back with another BKFC Reddit Ask Me Anything with the heavyweight champion of BKFC, Mick Terrill. How you doing, Mick?
Not so bad, it was you.
I'm doing well, thanks. You don't look too dinged up. It seemed like you got out of that fight relatively healthy.
Yeah, obviously straight after the fight, all bruised and swollen, but usually within a week you're back to normal then anyways.
It is kind of crazy to see. I mean, you see some guys and they absolutely look terrible right after the fight, and then within a week, other than have like a little bit of color on their face, they're fine.
Yeah, I got my stitches out yesterday. I was at, yeah, last night. I went to the hospital where we are, so the doctors, and they wouldn't take them out, so I ended up having to take my stitches out myself in the bathroom.
That's funny. There was another BKFC fighter whose girlfriend was taking and cutting his stitches out, and she was like almost throwing up while she was cutting them out. It was really funny to watch on Instagram.
It's not pleasant when it's in your eye, like.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you fought in the United States, you fought in the UK. Are you one of those guys that prefer to like there's been several UK guys who want to almost exclusively fight in the United States? Does it matter to you, or you just go wherever they want you to?
Wherever the money is, I'll be there. I'm not really bothered, mate.
Okay. So now that you are the heavyweight champ, are you looking to defend that belt on the UK, or again, it's one of those like if they have a big fight in the States?
Wherever Dave wants us, Dave knows he can ring me anytime, say whoever it is, wherever it is, and I'll be there.
I'm sure Dave knows that. I'm sure Andrew though is like, come on, please defend it over here in the UK, right?
I think Bakey will want it back in the UK, but like I say, just whatever pays the most, isn't it?
Absolutely. Okay, so you said that the altitude did play a factor, and I know therefore, like going into the training, you had completely changed your sleep schedule. If you were to go back again, would you train? Would you maybe go over to the elevation you're going to fight out and train for a couple weeks, or do you like staying where you're at and coming over the last minute?
To be honest, I think if you we got there on the Monday and I fought on the Saturday, and I think that was just enough time. Although I did feel a little. It's funny because it's not your breathing that gets affected; you just get fatigued and you feel sick. But I think we timed it just about right. I think we left enough time.
Okay. That's good to know. So yeah, I know. Like, I guess Lilly was looking at taking a fight over here in the States, and he was actually looking over in the UK for places that had elevation training equipment. So maybe that could be something you guys could do go for too, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I think with the Jackson Wing companies that managers, I think them we've got a place in Albuquerque. I think that's even higher again.
Sure.
So next time, if I need to do, I could maybe use their facilities.
Okay, so what sort of turnaround are you looking? You want to enjoy the holidays? Are you looking to get right back in it right away, or?
Well, I think I've got about 42 stitches in my face, so it's probably going to take 2 months before I can even spar again.
Okay.
To be fair, I didn't do any sparring for that last fight. I had that many injuries. I didn't spar in the last one, so I could really do with the sparring because I noticed in the fight I wasn't moving. I wasn't as sharp as I should have been.
So how do you train for the heavyweight title if you can't spar? I mean, is it all just cardio and like muscle memory, or?
Yeah, well, like I say, I was telling everyone I was going to win that fight in the fourth round, and it was basically just due to stamina. But I knew if I put it on Arnold enough and enough, and just kept putting the pressure on, not so much me even having to hit him, just be in his face. I knew he'd think he'd have to throw shots back. So that was the plan. Just get in his face, let him work more than he normally would, and then catch him in the fourth round when he starts tiring.
Okay, so I know at one point BKFC was talking about having a 265 weight class, be the max, and I think for your fight they upped it to 275. Is it one of those things you think 275 is good, or do you feel like heavyweight should just be unlimited? You're a heavyweight.
I didn't realise it was a 265. I think as he called Peter Sahill, he kept putting it on. It's 265. To me, heavyweight's heavyweight really, but if there is a limit, you want to keep it, for safety. But I think do you know what it is? Do you know the flyweights and stuff? Especially in the pro boxing, they're whinging about 2 kilograms.
Yeah.
So when I first started fighting at heavyweight, I was only 13 stone, which would be like 187 pounds.
Oh
So
wow.
I was fighting heavyweights when I was 180, 190 pounds. So like I'd say I've always fought bigger people that didn't really bother us.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I feel like as BKFC gets bigger, I would like to see like a 205 to 225, and then 225 to unlimited. I feel like that'd be a little safer for everybody. But
Well, I ended up putting a little bit of weight on for that fight. I think I knew I had to because I knew the style I was going in with to let Arnold like tee off on us. I had to be heavier to take the shots. Normally I'll be smaller and faster, but it's pointless for Arnold. He's quick and he's good, you know. So I ended up putting weight on just to be able to take the shots.
Okay, so when we do these interviews, I always reach out to people who know you, and I ask some questions. So Andrew Bakewell would like to know. He said, "What are some of the bets people have been taking on how fast it takes you to get fat again?"
um, obviously, I like eating cakes. You know, I don't. You know what it is? I'm normally teetotal. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. So my vice is cakes. But if you ask around, I've actually knocked a lot of cakes back. You know, because there's a bet on in the gym. I think a couple of people have lost as well. They thought I would just be fat, but I've actually lost 5 kilos which would be about 11, 12 pounds since the fight.
Wow. So going forward, is that one of those things you want to try to, I guess, stay at like a better weight, or is it just like training?
It depends because every fight's different. So like you're looking, if I fight Ben Rothwell, I want to be lighter so I can be quicker. If I fight Lorenzo, I want to maybe be heavier because he's very explosive. I want to be able to take explosive shots. So different fights are different horses for different courses. You've just got to be, like when you look at a fight, you've got to look at the fight and you've got to find a strategy, what's best that might work for you, and then you've got to go with that. So sometimes you've got to be heavy, sometimes you've got to be light.
So you mentioned two names, and as of right now, that's the two names that I'm hearing that are going to face you. Do you have a preference on one over the other?
It doesn't, like I say, I've spoke about this before. It's they both bring different things to the table. Don't they? Rothwell's a big, huge name. He's probably going to be the big money fight. I think I've heard that Rothwell's actually going to have a fight with Todd Duffy in February.
That's what he's supposed to do, but I also hear he's trying to avoid that and go straight to a fight with you.
I mean, Todd Duffy's a big puncher. I'll try and avoid it as well, but really, I think Todd lost money on the fight. He didn't get the fight, so I don't know if he lost money on it. So, you don't want to see any fighters out of pocket, So, let's see what happens there. I mean, I'm not going to be ready to sport till about February, March, and anyways. So I'm just going to be, if he is going to fight February, I'll not be ready till about April, and anyways, I don't think when we face.
Okay. So you said you were coming off some injuries. Like, do you feel like you'll be 100% healed up by the time February comes around, or?
I hope so. What happened to me was I was actually in Florida. I was on a family holiday on Orlando, and I don't know what I'd done because I don't think I'd done anything that day. I'd been in Volcano Bay, and I hadn't even been on a single ride. I just lounged around all day. And anyways, on the night time, I was in agony all night, and I was stuck like that. So by the time I'm getting back home, the NHS isn't the greatest yet. So it took about 10 weeks before they give us an MRI. And I've actually slipped 3 discs in my neck.
Oh, wow.
So I've slipped the C5 and the C6 nerve down my arm. So I really had I can jab with it. When my left hook wasn't the greatest. I knew this going into the fight, but when you get offered a world title fight, you just go for it.
Sure. So you basically are fighting with just a jab and then your right hand? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or?
I mean, if you watch the fight, that's all I really throw. It's just moves. And then I think it was 12 weeks before the fight, I was sparring. Obviously, I'm very right-handed dependent at the minute, and I broke a little bone in between me. I don't know if you can see in there. There's a little bone, and then I snapped that bone.
Okay.
So I couldn't turn the key in my door. And it was that painful. So, I had all I could throw was a jab, or that was it, and run. That's all I could do. So I just ran the whole camp, just running strength and conditioning, just light weights. And
so you had fought Arnold a couple of years before. Like, is there anything that you noticed from that fight that you knew going into this fight that he hadn't changed that you were going to be able to capitalize on, or is it just the conditioning?
The stamina, I just not even off that fight with me because obviously I ended up stopping with exhaustion. But
sure.
Obviously, I fought him, and I like the way he fight, and so I've always kept an eye on watching him. So I always was hoping there was a chance I fought again. And I've just noticed, come round 3, just slow down a little bit. And if you watch, I think Arnold likes to throw about 30, 34 shots around. So I just think if he can keep on him, get him to throw maybe 35 to 40 shots around, but keep the pressure on while his mind's going as well. So that was the plan, just to try and get him to throw more shots.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was one of those things like you had felt his power and you didn't think there was any chance you'd get knocked out. And I heard you say you needed to avoid more punches, so I wasn't sure if it was just like, hey, don't get cut, and like he's not going to knock us out, just don't get cut.
But I remember the first time I fought Arnold, and Arnold's really good in the clinch. I didn't want to be in the clinch, and he's really good. What he does is he pulls you in, and he pushes you out, and he comes in with a big hook. And I remember the first time he said it. I don't know if you've ever been hit in the head with a bat. That's what it felt like. He's hit us, and if you've ever been hit in the head with a bat, people know what I mean. My head vibrated away, so I was like, oh, and so like that was always in my mind. He hits that hard where it hurts that much. So I was nervous going in because I'm thinking it's going to really hurt. It's going to hurt, and it did hurt. The first shot he hit with, it was like a bell going off in my head. It was like ding, 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 and he just didn't stop.
Okay, so you mentioned getting hit in the head with a bat, so clearly you have a story about that. So what happened?
Just a bit of road rage, that one. It was a little bit of road rage. I actually snapped the bat off my head.
Holy crap.
I'd already knocked him out, and I've kept him back up, and as I'm going back in my car, he's went to his, and I heard the boot go, and he was already out, so I'd left him. Like I just thought I'd leave him there. Yeah. So then by the time I got to my car, I heard his car boot. He was calling it a trunk. His trunk was opening, and he's swinging this black thing, and I was thinking, at first, is it a wheel brace? But it wasn't. It was a little mini car. So now as he smashed it straight off my head. And when it was finished, he just had a little bit left in the end. It snapped. And I just says, I'm going to kill you. And then proceeded to beat him again,
That is a crazy story. Yeah, I didn't picture that story going that way. I thought maybe, like you got hit in the head with a bat at baseball or something at some point. But yeah, a street fight where you got hit in the head with a bat, that sounds awful.
But it ripped me ear off. It was funny because
really?
He kept cutting us up, and it was during the lockdown, and I was taking my son to work with us because the schools were shut. And I like to be active, so I thought I'd get my son to come to work, get him used to going to work. So he kept cutting it, and the side he was cutting into was on my son. So I beat the horn at him, and then he's giving it all the, sticking the fingers up, and I just said, well, get out. So he's jumped out, and when I've jumped out, I think he's changed his mind. So I clipped him, and then that's what he got. He got a bat.
I pictured this being when you were a young man. I had no idea it was just a few years ago and you almost lost an ear. That sounds insane.
I just got a stitch back on. It just glued it back on, really. It was funny because my son was just laughing. I've come back to the car, and my son's laughing in the it was a van I had. So I comes in the van, and my son's laughing. He would have been 16 at the time, and he's went, "Dad, did he hit you in the head with a ball there?" I went, "No, it was a bat," and he went, he stopped laughing. He went, "Your ears fell off." I went, "Why did he rip my ear off?" So I've had a feel. So I've went to the hospital, and I've tried to say I've done it at work by accident on a metal bar. And anyways, when they've been cleaning it out, I had a bit of wood stuck in it.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Terrill, there's a bit of wood in your ear.
That's crazy. Okay, so what do you do for work? Or do you just, now are you at the point where you can fight full time, or do you still have a job?
I'm an electrician by trade. But at the minute, I've got a good sponsor at the minute. I'm not working at the minute. Mark Bailey's called a computer clinic. He pays us full time. So it's when I've got fights coming, we just let us train full time.
Awesome. Well, why don't you go ahead and give your sponsors a shout out real quick while we're hanging out?
I've got quite a few, mate. I've got a big list.
I got plenty of time.
Mark Bailey Computer Clinic and Jill Harrison as well, his wife. And then I've got BPM SFX. I've got Team Valley MOT. I've got that's Marvin. He come with us. He was doing my corner, and I've got Darren Wigg at Newcastle Physio, and I've got Beavers at Tyneside Taxis, and I've got Richie and Neil at O'Tools. I've got Chloe Smelts, that's Mark Bailey's daughter, and I've got Smoke City, that's Mark Bailey's son, and I've got Breeze Fish Bar in Cumbria, and I've also got Pete Burke and Sons. I used to work for Pete as an electrician. I've got Owen's Jewelers, it's my pal, he's got a Jewelers, and I've got Stepney Tyres as well. My other pal got an MOT centre.
A lot of people don't realize, everybody thinks like, oh, you're a fighter, you make loads of money, but it's actually the sponsors that kind of help get you through the year. You get the nice payday when you are able to get a fight, but you only get a fight a couple of times a year. So throughout the year, it's great to have those sponsors that you can rely on so you can keep training. So
I'm lucky. I've like over England. I don't know what electricians like over in America, but it's well paid in England. So I've got a good job over here. So The only problem is you keep getting punched in the head, and you've got to deal with live electrics, so you've got to make sure you get your head on the game.
So my buddy's an electrician, and he loves his brother. His brother's a plumber, and he's an electrician, and he loves to mess with his brother with electricity and pretend like he's getting electrocuted all the time. So I've heard that you're a practical joker, and then our friend over in the red corner, he wants to know how you came up with the idea to with what you did to Rob Berry. If you haven't seen, I'll put the link in the YouTube video. But you gave Rob Berry a pretty unique drink during his fight.
Yeah, it was a. I don't know where it's come from, but it was a beaker, like a glass beaker, and it had a dildo attached to the top. And obviously, you have a drink through the dildo. So Rob was actually fighting a lad called Ben Bonner from Middlesbrough, and he was a really tough kid. So we were going to give it to Rob, in the first round. And I says, well, maybe we can, because the hard's fight, the fight's hard, and nearly as hard as the dildo. And I just thought, I don't want him to be laughing and get beaten, and it's because of the dildo. So I says to Andy, we'll get him at the end, whether he wins or loses. So anyways, Robbie's won the fight, and he's gasping for a drink at the end, because obviously it's tiring. And honestly, like that, trying to get a drink. It was on camera as well, and it's on the video. I'm just getting the dildo, and he sussed it like. But what actually took that dildo pick over with on that last fight. And I was trying to get Andy, me corner, and I was trying to get it in his bag, but he wouldn't go to the toilet. I was trying to sneak it in his bag. Put a drink in it, you get stopped at the customs. So I was trying my best to get it in there. And anyways, he didn't fall for it. So on the way back, Andy's managed to stick it in what other pal Marvin stuck it in his hood on his coat.
Okay.
Because we're in Salt Lake City, and it's in the hood on his coat. And we've got right through to the customs, and I put my bag down. And we're standing right at the desk, and Marvin's bent down, and the dildo's just come straight out of his hood. And the bloke at the customs desk has just looked at it. And obviously it's a big, huge black dildo, so that was quite funny.
It's great that you have a team that can play some of practical jokes on each other. That's awesome.
Oh, it's ruthless our gym. It's every day is a practical joke. I mean, we're in the hotel before the fight. Dave Cranston from the BKFC?
Sure.
My cornerman just went running straight over and kicked him, pulled his pants down. He's standing at the desk, trying to sign in for his hotel, and Andy's kicking him.
Okay. So I've heard you and Andy have a very unique relationship. You guys have been, friends for a long time, but I heard you bicker like an old couple, like an old married couple. Like you constantly spar and fight with each other, but you have so how long has he been your corner guy, your coach?
Well, I used to be his coach and corner. So
okay.
We started off, we used to train at a gym called Soul Tanacle. It was a Thai boxing gym. We both started there. And as the time went, I'd left the gym, and then eventually I started my own gym. And Andy come over to train with me. And then we ended up running the gym together. I ended up bringing Andy on as a coach, and we both ran the gym together. And then during the lockdown, the gym shut down. Andy kept the gym going, so I went back to train with Andy. But I mean, Andy's only 5'8". But he does tell us off. He's like my mum, and it is. He's my best pal, and he's my coach. So whatever he says, I've got to listen, because if I don't, he's going to beast us on the pads. So I've got to do as I'm told,
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. It's for those that don't know, I think he goes by the Big Ginge, right? Like I think it's his name online. But yeah, he seems like a really cool guy.
Oh, he's a mean kid. Honestly, it is. I've been away with him twice now. 3 weeks in Mexico and America, and then we've been away for a week there. Never have a crossword with him. He's been my pal for 12 years. Okay. Never ever had a crossword with him.
Okay, so I mean, so who do you train with now? Is there anybody else in the BKFC? Like I know BKFC in the UK is starting to really blow up. They put on a couple really good shows. Like, do you have what I'm getting at is does your gym specialize in only bare knuckle, or are you guys kind of like a boxing gym that has a couple guys that fight bare knuckle?
No, we originally we were Thai boxing and kickboxing, so we've got a lot of kickboxers that we train with. I mean, we've got a lot of BKFC lads who seem to be attracting all the BKFC lads coming over. But you've got like Robbie Keane, Lewis Keane, Robert Barry. We've got Paul Cook comes over. And we've got those other people trying to come over, asking to train, which we just let them over, it's the more people that you've got in, the more tricks you can learn. And then everyone's getting more knowledge.
Cool. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you fight in the future. Like I said, I mean, I'm sure, like I said, it would be great if you could fight in the UK and defend the belt over there. It'd be fantastic. We don't know yet who it's going to be. Like I'm going to be honest, I would love to see Lorenzo. I feel like Lorenzo's done everything the BK has asked. I feel like he's earned the right. But I also realize that Ben is a huge fight too. So either one, or maybe Todd Duffy wins and he sneaks in there like that dark horse. So, but anyway, I feel like it's going to be great regardless. But
The thing is, I think all the fights are going to be good now. I think Dave Feldman's getting the standard that high now. All the fights are good. It's not very often, unless it's an undercard. I think all the main cards are going to be good fights. I think he's done really well with it. Feldman. I think it's going to be as big as UFC. Maybe it's bigger. I think it's the fastest growing sport. Everyone loves it. It's just exciting.
that's exactly like my wife, not a big combat sport, but she watches every one of these because like every one of them is almost action packed. There's a couple that are definitely where it's more of a chess match and they play it out slower, but almost every fight, and you are 100% correct. Like Dave Feldman and Nate Shook have been doing so much better with the matchmaking that it's not mismatches. It's like technical fights and they're brutal too. So it's fantastic.
I think what it is as well, everybody understands the rules of, when it's just boxing. Whoever's punched the other person the most is going to win the round. Whereas I think in the MMA, I think like the UFC and MMA in general, back in the day you had a kickboxer versus a jiu-jitsu. And like in England, a lot of people, we don't understand the ground game yet. It's only just starting to come over to England, the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu. So like our older people will say like, that's a cowardly, he's hitting him on the deck, on the floor.
Yep. Right.
But like, we don't understand what's going on. Whereas the boxing, you know exactly what's going on. It's like he's getting punched in the face, he's getting beat.
Sure.
And that's the way it is, it's more exciting. But I think, like I say, with the MMA, back in the day, you had specialists. You had a kickboxer that was a specialist, and you had a jiu-jitsu that was a specialist. I think now what's happening is they all know a little bit about everything. So
Sure.
you've got a jack of all trades rather than a specialist. And I find as well in the MMA, it's that important to win now that they rather not lose than win. So they try not to lose rather than going for the win, if that makes any sense.
It completely makes sense because it's like when you see a wrestler take down a boxer and he does nothing, but he just lays on top of him. And you're like, this is boring as can be. Yeah. So 100% I agree with you where it's like, try not to lose versus win.
Yeah, well, look at Lorenzo Hunt. Lorenzo Hunt goes for the kill every time, every fight. It's kill or be killed with Lorenzo. He's very exciting, He's very explosive. Everything's full power. He's got full intention on everything. So that's exciting to watch. And I mean, who was the lad who fought on the show? I was a Mohawk. Is it?
Mohawk. Yeah, Esteban Mohawk Rodriguez. Yeah, versus Keegan.
Look at that fight. You know what I mean? I think they got fight tonight as well. And I think they're both quite new at the game as well. But like that was an exciting fight when you watch it. It was berserk, really, and that's what people want to see. They just want to see people's heads bashed in, really.
Yeah. It is a beautiful violence, though. I mean, like you see the camaraderie. That's what I like about it. Like you see Esteban and Mohawk were in the back, or Esteban, Mohawk, and Keegan were in the back, and they're sharing, like friends, and they say like we don't need to hate each other to want to punch each other in the face, and then we'll go be friends afterwards. So.
But I tell everybody this, I'd say I've never met one arsehole, and bare knuckle, I think he was called arseholes, but like I've never met one. I've never met one. Every time you go in, everyone likes each other, everyone gets on. Obviously, you go in that ring and you do the business, and then afterwards, everyone's sitting. I mean, I had a fight with Arnold. Arnold couldn't get back to the hotel, so I says, Arnold, jump in my car. So I took Arnold and his whole team back to the hotel. I'd say, because I've got nothing personal against Arnold, I quite like him.
Sure.
Unfortunately, the game is we've got to punch each other.
Yeah, I saw that clip. It was like, you're walking out with the belt, and then here comes Arnold out of the back of the car. I thought that was a pretty great gesture.
I mean, I've had fights with people and then I went straight for a meal after, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I've got no animosity towards the people I fight. It's the game,
Absolutely. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing what happens next for you. Hopefully I hope we find out sooner than later. It'd be great if we find out, that way it gives you plenty of time to like plan in advance. But like I said, we'll see what happens, but I appreciate all your time. Thanks so much. And you have a bunch of fans on the Reddit. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Cheers.